Welcome. Welcome to the Menopause Queen Podcast. Welcome to the very, very first edition of the Menopause Queen Podcast. And this is a bi-monthly podcast that will join my YouTube channel, the Menopause Queen, and will also be put out in audio format on my Substack newsletter. Bi-monthly. Why bi-monthly? Because I plan to bring one out every new and full moon. Moon cycles are really important for women, particularly. It gives us the circular structure that we so search for and that we so need, and that very often in our modern society, it's kind of forgotten. We have that need, that desire for sacred circles, for sharing circles. Our brains don't work in a linear fashion. They're very cyclical. Our bodies function on a cyclical level with our monthly cycle. And when we hit the menopause, that cycle is broken, except that it's kind of not, and especially the need for it is not. It's not that we're not happy, some of us, that we've stopped bleeding every month after many, 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 many years of it. But that cyclical nature of our life is suddenly gone. And it also has so many connotations towards our fertility, towards our usefulness, towards our prosperousness, our beauty, our femininity. All of those things are wrapped up in that. So I really wanted to have some form of cyclical approach. I love the moon cycles. I love the new moon with its new possibilities, with its vibrant energy, not always nice, but vibrant energy. I love the full moon cycle as well, when we can celebrate the fullness of something, the simple beauty and flicking amazingness of the moon's light and energy. So I love that anyway. I love celebrating that anyway, but I particularly like the idea of having a cyclical structure, a circular, a wave structure, however you want to see it, but to have that to provide us with our sharing circle. And the Menopause Queen is a journey, if you choose to take it as a program, to help you through the menopause. And it has different phases to it and different themes each week. You can choose even to go outside of that circle option and head for the throne and do some one-to-one sessions with me with this life alignment coaching that I offer. I'm a meditation yoga teacher and have been for many, 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 many years. About 25 years I've been teaching now. And it's helped me massively in my life, but it's also helped me massively through the menopause. And in more recent years, in the last maybe 10 years, I've been doing a lot of teacher training for yoga teachers, but I've also been doing a lot of life alignment coaching. I don't coach about binge drinking or losing weight or all of that kind of thing. I coach with a very specific message in mind, and it's all about being you, realigning or aligning with who you are and celebrating that, and being the queen of who you are, shining with all your energy, how you want to be, how you want to align your life. Picking up the broken pieces, if you like, from left, right, center, all over the place. Sometimes you don't even know where they've come from, and bring them back together into some form of life alignment and balance and harmony. And that's kind of what I'm about in my professional world. And I like to think that I have used that massively in my personal world. Now, despite what I do, despite being a yoga teacher, despite being theoretically very good at my meditation, really balanced and aligned, I've had a rocky road of a life. I've not always had it easy, and I've certainly not always had it smooth. But I like to embrace that. I like to embrace all the cracks and the vulnerability of how my life has gone and own it. I'm the sum total of everything that's happened to myself, to me in my life. I don't disown anything. I am not embarrassed or ashamed of anything. It's just what has happened. But what I am super proud of is how I've got through the other side with resilience, with grace, with dignity, with serenity, and I've come out the other side with cracks, with scars, with everything you like, but I'm standing in my authentic self. Now, the menopause, that hit me like a little bit of a tidal wave. And it hit me at a time in my life where I had definitely been through the emotional washing machine of life. I am a mother of 2 children. I'll give you some background on who I am and so why this is so important to me and why I think that this might help you through your menopause journey. I'm a mother of 2 who are, at the time of recording this, 21 and 17, fast approaching 22 actually. I am fast approaching 55, so my mid-50s, halfway through that 50s thing, and I'm fine with it. I'm super fine with it. I think I feel more aligned, more healthy, and more vibrant than I have ever felt. I also feel more authentically me, but when I was approaching the perimenopause, I was in a relationship, I'm divorced, and I was in a relationship that was reasonably new, but that was very toxic, very, very negative, very difficult to deal with, pretty violent. And the person that I was with was, I think, probably undiagnosed with many issues, but wasn't having any of it. And to the outside world, he was such a healthy, positive, role model and figure. But inside the house, it was chaos. It was utter emotional roller coasters every single day. I ended up, and I'm not going to dwell on all the micro details of that relationship in this particular podcast, but it ended up with me taking my children, fleeing the country, and not telling anybody where we had gone. I was that scared. I was that worried about the end. And sadly, as it turned out, that weekend, my partner decided to take his life. Now, that in itself is horrendous. But when you're faced with a whole accumulation of emotions and your own body is going through massive hormonal shifts, and you have 2 daughters who are going through massive hormonal shifts, it becomes exaggerated by about 1,000. And this is my personal journey through the menopause. And once I was picking up the pieces in the entrails of what is post-suicide, I had to re-piece together my own life. I had to literally pick up fragments from the past and work out, did I want to use that one again? Was that version of myself what I wanted to be? Now we can fast forward a few months, almost a year, and I decide to get into another relationship simply because I knew the person already. I am still with this person. It has not been easy because I put up so many walls and barriers to protect myself. Plus, I was going through the menopause. Oh yes, I was going through the menopause, and I think that it is the most massive transformational part of your life that you will ever go through. It is a moment where you try as hard as you can to assume the role that you have created. You know, like in Eat, Pray, Love, you know, when Julia Roberts walks through the lounge in her New York house, which is beautiful, and she says, I have personally created, bought, crafted this life, this home, and yet I don't recognize myself in anything. And I really felt like that as I was walking through the menopause. I didn't recognize myself in some of the things that I had created. There are still things now that I need to shift and that I need to juggle around a bit. But it takes time and it takes courage. But I didn't want this to be all down and gloomy. I wanted it to be real. It has to be real. If it's not real, you're not going to listen, right? It has to be real. You have to know that I spent months lying on the floor in tears. Then when the menopause symptoms really started to kick in, I was angry. I was so angry. I was cross with everything that had happened to me. I was cross with everything from the past, and Christ knows when past. I think it could have been centuries past, but I was so angry. And then I'd be super sad and upset. And then I'd be full of energy, and then my body would go, oh, that hurts, so you can't do that anymore. And it was up and down, and every day was different, and it was a roller coaster. My poor partner now had to go through all of that, coupled with the emotional wreckage that was the past. But I have got through the other side. And I think the thing that no one told me as I was approaching the menopause and as I was in the menopause is that there's an afterlife. Oh yes. There's an after menopause. I know some women are going to watch this and go, the menopause has completely destroyed my life. It's been like the downfall of everything that I've constructed in my life. It has completely destroyed it. It's in ruins because of it. There is an after. There is an after. And maybe from those ruins, they had to happen because from those ashes and those ruins, new shoots, newness. You are going to emerge from all of that. This is the message, ladies, queens. We're not broken. We're transforming. There isn't one lightning bolt thing going to come into our lives and go, right, this is it, this is what you're going to do, and everything's going to be aligned, and you're going to be okay, and you're just going to walk forwards with glowing embers all around you, and you're going to shine just like the queen you deserve to be. You will do that. But it isn't with one thing, and it isn't with, the sound of angels and fireworks going off everywhere. It is, however, by honoring your life. By spending time and honoring the things in your life that bring you joy. It's daring to do the things that bring you joy. So I'm going to tell you a little story to kind of conclude this first episode of the Menopause Queen podcast. When I was, I suppose, coming towards the end of some of the symptoms, and feeling a little bit more confident, but believe me, not 100%. I had brain fog. I couldn't see very clearly ahead of me. I kept forgetting things. I was still a little bit angry, but I was very anxious. I was full of anxiety that I've never been filled with before. Never anxious before. And all of a sudden, fear, anxiety. My stepdaughter started riding at the local riding school. I used to have a horse. I love horses. I love riding. I hadn't ridden for 35 years. 35 years. They say it's like riding a bike. It isn't. It isn't, okay? 35 years goes past and your body has changed and your anxiety levels have definitely shifted. Your pelvic region, your abdominal muscles and your spine are not the same as 35 years earlier. But let's just plant that to one side for a moment. She started riding and I really loved the environment. I really loved the stables. I loved the whole smell of it. And it ignited something inside me that I thought, that's it. That's what I want to be doing. That's what I need to be doing. That. And so I took up riding after 35 years of absence. Oh my God, I had to relearn everything for a start. Then also, I had to get over my fear. The amount of fear I had about galloping. Oh my, that was it was like the out of controlness of my life was reflected in the out of controlness of the horse, although the horse wasn't out of control. He was just galloping, right? But for me, it was just too quick. I couldn't stop him. In fact, all I could think about was, how do I stop it? How do I control it, slow it down? Instead of riding with it, instead of going with the wave, as my daughter says, va avec la wave. She can't say it in one language or the other. She has to mix the two. Mais maman, va avec la wave. So go with the wave, basically. And I found that so difficult. Daring to go into something that you do not control and fully know. And also daring to go into something that you cannot always control. It's such a menopause story, right? So that story. And so bit by bit, I got back on track. I did not get rid of my fear, but I learned to deal with it. And bit by bit, the fear did start to diminish. And then I had the madcap idea about a year ago of buying my own horse again. So bear in mind, I haven't owned a horse. I think I sold my horse when I was just going on 17. So I haven't owned a horse for a very long time. It is an investment in time, in energy, in money. But for once in my life, in my adult woman's life, I wanted to do something that was just for me. Literally just for me. And so I did. I bought a horse. I'm going to save probably the story of my horse for another podcast. Maybe it will be in episode 2, because it has been a journey. It's continuing to be a journey, but I'll just give you a teensy insight. My horse is a beautiful, beautiful soul, but who has already lived through a lot. He is a baby, he's only 5, and he's already retired from being a racehorse. They retired him before he got injured because he was never going to win any races. And as such, he's already lived through quite a lot of trauma and stress. And I bought him and he was 4 and he'd already been retired. Can you get that? And we have been working together every single day since then to build our relationship so that he knows that I'm there, to build our circle of support, if you like, to learn how to work with one another, to look after one another, because it isn't just a one-way street. And you need to have that relationship and that bond. But he's teaching me so much about myself, and I'm teaching him so much about himself, how he can once again maybe be happy because he's lost a lot of life's joy, where he can once again enjoy certain activities. He feels so much more grounded as he's been in the one stable for now nearly a year. And I think that's the longest he has ever lived in one space, one place, and with pretty much the same horses. That's a huge thing for him. It's massive. So that'll be another adventure on the podcast. But what I wanted to share with you in this one was this idea of owning daily honorings of yourself, of really honoring the things that bring you joy, and of daring to do that in this time of your life. Because if you can't do it now, if you can't take away some of the old versions of you, some of the bits of you, some of the veils and the masks, can we say, that you have put on you over the years, if you can't do that in the menopause and become an incredible butterfly and paint a new story, then when can you do it? When can you do it? And if it's not a butterfly, maybe it's a dragonfly. Dragonflies don't live long. They cram into a really short space of time, not only all their incredible beauty, but their freedom. They mate, they do everything in the space of a day or two. And if you try and stop them, their tail comes round and they bite you with their tail to say, no, I need to be free. Let me go. It's one of the reasons that I have tattooed them on my arm. I have a whole chain of blue and black dragonflies that goes around the top of my arm, and it goes with an Om symbol. The Om symbol is that vibration from the center of the earth that thrives and throbs in you as well. Om. And it just reminds me of trying to stay aligned to me all the time, to own that vibration. And then I've also had tattooed Soham, which is a Sanskrit word meaning that which I am. And there's another way you can read it, which is Hamsa, which is the other way around, basically. And it means this is what I am. This is me. And I absolutely love that idea, especially in the menopause. This is you. This is me. Watch out. Here we come. All the broken pieces of us are going to stand strong and firm, resilient, and shout out proud and loud. This is who we are, and we're going to own it, queens. We are going to own our energy and our life. This is our second chapter, and this is our, if you want an American expression, badass years. These are our badass years. These are the years to be truly you. And I think in another episode, as well as the horse, we're going to go into this concept of this is me, just that little bit more. Until then, thank you for listening to episode 1 of the Menopause Queen Podcast.